Good afternoon, everyone, tourism and HRM students. I'm just recording this discussion for the purpose that I won't be able to conduct a synchronous or real-time virtual meetup with you. So I'd rather record this discussion in preparation for your preliminary examination. Anyway, this is the last coverage of your examination for the prelim. And if you can recall, the first part of our discussion revolves on motivation. And now, this afternoon, we'll continue with motivation. At the same time, we shall proceed with tourism activities. Okay? So, let's try to talk about first other motivation that push tourists to travel. Now, the first one is needs. What is a need? Need is something needed to survive, while a want is something that people desire to have, that they may or may not be able to obtain. The terms wants and needs are used in today's economy and not always accurately. So alam naman po natin, no, we all know the distinction between needs and wants. When we say needs, this is something that we need. This is something that our body needs in order for us to survive. So basically, needs revolves on the survival of a particular person. While the wants are those things that we can live without. Okay? Kahit wala iyon, ay pwede naman tayong mabuhay. So what is the distinction now between motives and motivations? Motivation is the psychological process that refers to the general behavior. Motive, on the other hand, is the concrete cause of said behavior. Thus, motivation is the process itself and the motive is the concrete reason for taking action. Okay, so this is a clear definition in terms of differentiating the two terminologies, namely motive and motivation. Okay, pag sinabi po nating motive, concrete cause. What push you to a particular goal or what push you to do a particular thing? Well, motivation is the process. So, motive first before motivation. Okay? Now, needs, motives, and motivations are all um, motivation when it comes to making sure that tourists are enticed to travel. But aside from motives and motivation, we also have escape. Tourism can offer freedom from work. The tourism can offer freedom from work and other time obligations, an escape from the traditional social roles, and liberty to spend one's time however one chooses. Tourism reflects Tourism reflects the anti-structure of life, an escape from something rather than a quest for something. So basically, alam naman po natin ito. I think we have already discussed and touched on this one about escape, that most people wants to travel because they want to escape the brutal realities of life, that they want to travel because they want to experience something that they haven't experienced for a long period of time. Okay? So what do we mean by search? Search is a motivation. Travel needs and motives may stem from an inner feeling of wanting to learn about new things, further fueled by external pull factors that promise just that. Okay, we are searching for something that would satisfy our inner desire, particularly our search for good destination, our thirst and hunger for good foods. No, so these are all what we mean by search. Basically, search is an innate feeling. It's an inner feeling of wanting to learn new things. Okay, the context of the word things doesn't necessarily mean tangible one, but we are referring also to intangible one. Okay? So what do you mean by desire? A totally different source of travel motives is the specific desire one may want to experience. It may be about tangible matters, such as specific interest. For example, for older people, we have what we call the bird watching trip, usually in cruise ship, usually in forest, you know, or a cultural interest or sports event. The desire. Desire is also an inner feeling. But unlike search for desire, you are particular with what you are looking for. You are desiring for something. No? Desire as a main travel motive may also concern intangible, such as certain emotions or deep spiritual experiences. Di ba? Some people, if they have gone through a difficult relationship, no, sometimes an intangible desire is the feeling of moving on, the feeling of forgetting, no? So, now we're done with activity, we're done with motivations, and for this afternoon, we will also continue our discussion on activities. What are the different activities in tourism industry? So let's move first to tourism related activities. We have adventure travel. Adventure travel is a type of niche tourism involving exploration or travel with a certain degree of risk, real or perceived, and which may require special skills and physical exertion. Adventure tourists may have the motivation to achieve mental states characterized as such or flow resulting from stepping outside their comfort zone. So when we say class adventure travel, no, we have what we have here, niche tourism. When you say niche tourism, this is a sector in tourism na they are focusing on a particular target market. No, they have specific target market. And adventure travel is one of this kind of tourism because not all people want adventure, right? Not all people want to be physically exhausted when it comes to traveling. So let's start discussing adventure travel. Types of adventure travel. One, accessible tourism. There is a trend for developing tourism specifically for the disabled. Adventure travel for the disabled. Tandaan po natin ito ha. The accessible tourism is a niche tourism specially designed for people with disabilities. That it is an inclusive style of tourism that no one should be left behind when it comes to travel. Even those people with disability should be given equal opportunity to travel from one place to another. Next, we have culinary tourism. It's defined as the pursuit of unique and memorable eating and drinking experiences. No, so bihira ang niche market natin na culinary. But really, culinary tourism exists, particularly for those people who want to savor the different culinary or different cuisine of different countries or of different places. Even in the Philippines, we have domestic travelers or domestic tourists who want to try all cuisines of different regions in our country. So if you are this kind of person, so siguro mabubusog at mabubusog lang kayo. But of course, it's quite expensive also on your part because you have to pay for something. But you know, class, there are a lot of vloggers right now who are earning by just making comments or by just, advertising a particular restaurant offering a specific cuisine. So if you are really into this, then you can also try, no? We also have a very weird type of adventure travel. We have disaster tourism. This is the act of traveling to a disaster area as a matter of curiosity. This behavior can be nuisance if it hinders rescue, relief, and recovery operations. If not done because of pure curiosity, it can be cataloged as a disaster learning. Okay? Although, again, this is quite weird because disaster tourism refers to a kind of tourism where people travel to a particular destination which is a location for an aftermath of a disaster. For example, in the Philippines, once Albay has been declared as one of the disaster tourism area in our country, especially during the time that Mayon is very active and erupting. No, a lot of tourists are flocking in Albay. No, they are called as the disaster. This is called as a disaster tourism. We also have cultural tourism, traveling to a place to see that location's culture, including the lifestyle of the people in that area, the history of those people, their art, architecture, religions, and other factors shape their way of life. Okay, so basically, cultural tourism, it pertains to the motivation of people to travel from one place to another because they want to get to know the entire culture of a particular place. When you say entire culture, we are talking about their lifestyle, we are talking about their history, their art, their architecture, religions, all of these things. No, all of these things that shape the way of life of these people in the area, this is still part of cultural tourism. Also, we have ecotourism, responsible travel to natural areas that conserve the environment, sustain the well-being of the local people, and involve the interpretation and education. Okay, so I think this is one now of the rising type of adventure travel, tourism, because people now are becoming more and more curious of our destinations in our country and maybe other countries also, but not necessarily man-made attractions, but those natural attractions that we have. But there is always a danger in ecotourism. Time will come that you will be able to discuss, or you'll be having a subject called ecotourism. You will be discussing a lot of things about ecotourism. And hopefully, at the end of your discussion on this subject, you'll be able to appreciate, no, the natural resources that we have, that without this natural attractions class, tourism won't exist. So we also have ethnotourism. This refers to visiting a foreign location for the sake of observing the indigenous member of its society for the sake of non-scientific gain. Okay, so basically for ethnotourism, you just want to observe, to visit, to assess and evaluate the people, the indigenous people, no, of a particular destination, how they live or their daily life, their livelihood, no? Lahat po 'yun kasama. Now, we also have extreme tourism. It involves travel to dangerous or extreme locations or participation in dangerous events or activities like skydiving, no? So these are all part of extreme. Ibig sabihin, it means class that extreme tourism offers a lot of activities which requires um, physical strength, the same time your really determination to do a particular activity. Okay, so you also have jungle tourism. This is a rising subcategory of adventure travel defined by activity, multifaceted physical means of travel in the jungle regions of the earth. So I think jungle tourism is also part of ecotourism, but jungle tourism focused more on the jungles, the forests, no, in the different parts of the world. Okay. So aside from adventure travel, we also have overland travel. It refers to an overland journey, perhaps originating with Marco Polo's first overland expedition in the 13th century from Venice to the Mongolian court of Kublai Khan. Today, overlanding is a form of extended adventure holiday, embarking on a long journey, often in a group. Overland companies provide a converted truck or bus plus a tour leader, and the groups travel together overland for a period of weeks and months. So basically, class overland travel, this refers to just roaming around the different parts of the region, different parts of the country, no, just touring around with a group of friends. So I think most of you are dreaming, no, to have overland travel or overland journey. So apart from overland travel, we also have urban exploration. The examination of normally unseen or off-limits parts of urban areas or industrial facilities. This is also commonly referred to as infiltration, although some people consider infiltration to be more closely associated exploration of active or inhabited sites. Okay, sabi naman natin urban exploration class, this is just the tour on the different modern industrial facilities, because we want to see the technologies, we want to see how developed places work, we want to see why they are progressive. It's like benchmarking under urban exploration. We also have spiritual tourism. It refers to activities done for spiritual pursuits like pilgrimage, taking part in yoga and meditation, etc. Spiritual quest has become one of the major goals among many traveler. Alam naman natin to, no? This refers to This is very, very common to conservative countries like the Philippines, that we have a lot of fiestas and feasts of saints. So spiritual tourism is very much dominant, partly dominant, no, in our country. Okay. So, guys, thank you very much for your presence this afternoon if ever you are watching this. So, I hope you have taken down notes. I'll be sending this PowerPoint to your Google Classroom tonight. Make sure, class, that you stand by for more information regarding on your preliminary examination. But I shall give your prelim by next week, because next week, I'll just be giving some performance tasks and activity with the use of Google Classrooms and virtual meetup. So please wait for further instructions. Thank you very much.